Hi, I'm Nico. I recently read about how three primary colors of light can create all colors, so I'll share what I've learned. First, I'll start by explaining the basics of color perception. In our retina, there are two types of light receptors, rod cells and cone cells. Rod cells are the cells that help us see in the dark, and they do not tell us the color of the things we see. The cone cells are the ones that help us see color, so we will be focusing on them here. There are three types of cone cells. L cones, which mainly detect reddish light with longer wavelengths. M cones, which respond to yellowish to greenish light with medium wavelengths. S cones, which are good at detecting bluish light with short wavelengths. The efficiency with which a cone cell absorbs different wavelengths of light forms a bell-shaped curve. The sensitivity of S cones peaks at around 420 nanometers, M cones at approximately 530 nanometers, and L cones at about 560 nanometers. The efficiency of light absorption by a cone cell drops as the wavelength of the light gets either shorter or longer than its peak. This dependency of absorption efficiency is used to identify the wavelength or color of the light that we see. The cone cells themselves don't exactly know what wavelength of light they are absorbing. All information they send to the brain is the intensity of the light that they absorbed. A crucial consequence of this is that a cone cell can't tell the difference between a low-intensity light with a wavelength of its peak sensitivity and a high-intensity light with a wavelength away from its peak sensitivity. Also, a cone cell can't tell between a light whose wavelength is 20 nanometers shorter than the cell's peak sensitivity and a light whose wavelength is 20 nanometers longer than the peak sensitivity. So the brain has to put together the information from all three types of cone cells to deduce what color it was that the eyes saw. In other words, the brain uses the ratio of the intensity of signals from each type of cone cells to identify the color that we saw. For example, yellow light is absorbed by M cones and L cones with about the same efficiency. So conversely, when M cones and L cones send the same intensity of signal to the brain thinks that the retina saw yellow. But it's not only yellow light that triggers that response from our eyes. If red light and green light reach our eyes at the same time, the ratio of signal intensity from the three types of cone cells is going to be the same as what we get when we see yellow light. This is how three primary colors of light work, and this explains why computers and televisions can make us see a wide range of colors by combining red, green, and blue light. It was really eye-opening for me to learn how our color perception works, because I had never realized that the intensity of the original light has to be taken into account when the brain figures out what color it was that hit the cone cells.